to design a desirable branded product that allows hot food to be eaten on location. The brand I designed for is Land Rover, one that is heavily associated with great outdoors and all adventures that come around it. The first thing I had to establish was my UTE, or user task environment. I chose to design a product tailored around the sport of mountain biking, partially due to my passion and knowledge of the sport. It is a product that will need to give the rider the boost in energy that they need over a long day of riding. It will need to be portable, seeing as mountain bikers can reach the most remote of areas with no extra support. This leads on to environment, which as mentioned can be very remote, usually linking directly with weather. So, it will have to be able to function in all weather conditions as well as locations. For the initial design, I did some DNA analysis with collecting some common images of some of Land Rover's existing products. I then went on to do some line work across a wide range of their vehicles, from Land Rover Defender to the newest Range Rover Velar. I highlighted some of the most distinctive features, from the iconic grille pattern to the boxy and rugged looking wheel arches. To make the task a little clearer in terms of where I was headed and what I was going to achieve, I filled out a table stating the key information needed to progress. I chose the age group 18 to 35 because on average these users will be the most active and likely to be interested in using my product on their excursions. I considered the number of calories each user would need to consume to give them the optimum nutrition, which would clearly affect the outcome of my product. The size would also be an issue due to the need of portability and the limited bag space. I then researched some existing products to get a feel for what's already out there and where I can improve. The Vertex stove was a good place to start due to its simplicity and effective outcome that could persuade my future designs. Next was the BioLite camp stove, which was a much more complex design, using a log burner to harness energy and produce electricity alongside heat to cook food. The key points of this product were how it could produce a lot of energy whilst recycling it back into the cycle. It was also small, lightweight and user-friendly, so definitely a product I was inspired by. The GoSun stove is a clever product due to its function of using natural resources to feed the user, but a product that would struggle in the environment that I'm considering. It is fragile and relies on sun, two things that are very hard to guarantee when out biking. After all this research and inspiration, I started to churn out some initial concepts. I started with some cylindrical, automotive-inspired designs that then move on to much more boxy style inspired by their products such as Defenders and Discoveries. I tried to consider fuel locations in as many of these designs where possible to give an accurate design. As I went on, my designs seemed to become more modular, trying to focus on a stable base to deal with the rough terrains that they would be eating on. Once I had decided on my base design, I produced some perspective and orthographic drawings to try and convey more detail that can then be refined. Features such as controls and basic aesthetics. My thoughts on this first design were feeling there was room for improvement, adding complexity and more of a link towards Land Rover's brand DNA. Modelling this design was the start in getting a feel for the product and what I had to change in size due to usability and initial feel. At this point, the most focused features were the multiple burners designed to pull out of the device and allow multiple users to cook off one hub, a concept that would need to be thought through tech-wise. I then produced a much more refined version of this concept, adding features such as grills, vents, surface detail and a logo. I felt that this product was starting to follow Land Rover's brand DNA much more clearly now. After this, I made a new model that now gave you a feel of using a real-life working product. I included the fuel tray, a hollow lap container where the food would go, and a central burner where the food would sit on to heat through. Before receiving feedback on these two variations of the concept, I attempted a mashup using Photoshop that tried to embrace features from current products and warp them into the shape I was proposing. Now for the feedback. I had some positive comments of the overall aesthetics of the design, but when it came to function, I realised there was some room for improvement. The feasibility of getting heat to the extendable burners that came out of the base was clearly not possible. So that led to me realising There was a large percentage of the model that didn't need to be there. The entire core was wasted material. I also now didn't need 4 controls for the burners, along with the storage in the base for them. My overall goals for quantities of food and energy, along with weight and function, hadn't changed, but I was set on minimising the size of the product whilst rethinking the heating method, which I came back to. This is my chosen example for transportation of the product. I chose this item because I actually own one, making testing more accurate and valuable. It's a Camelback Kudu 18 with a water reservoir and a back protector as main features. It was a good sized pack to design for due to it being a common piece of equipment for mountain bikers. I researched the volume of the bag as well as some information about the back protector and the water reservoir. On to fuels. I researched 3 different fuels, starting with gas. Butane is the most common for outdoor cooking devices due to its low cost, weight and efficiency in achieving the necessary temperatures for cooking. Batteries are the next option, but after doing some calculations and research, they wouldn't be able to produce enough energy to heat the foods that I'm proposing, as well as not dealing with the extreme conditions that I'm designing for. Water and electricity clearly don't mix. The last is using an exothermic reaction as a heat source, most commonly calcium oxide reacting with water, resulting in calcium hydroxide and heat as a byproduct. It has an efficiency of 90%, meaning it is not only from a natural source, but an effective method of generating heat. This shows the process of reacting calcium oxide with water. Next on from the fuels is the food that they'll be heating up. I've established that I'm only going to be heating up pre-cooked foods because they require less energy and time as a result. Materials are a very important part of this development due to the task the product has to undertake. I first considered ABS for the majority of the body parts due to its tough and resilient properties, as well as being easy to mould. It can be shaped with many processes which could suit my final design well. Then was polypropylene. It is cheaper and lighter than ABS, but not necessarily more suited to my product. Polycarbonate was the last consideration for the main body parts, but due to it being the most expensive and having the highest density, it wasn't going to be used in this product. I researched some aluminium alloys to be a part of the heating probe. I needed a good insulator for the base, but for the passing contact with the food, it had to be a good conductor. Aluminium was a safe option considering it would be outside and permanently in contact with food. Nylons were the last material I researched. I included a strap in my final design, and a woven nylon fabric was the best option due to its properties regarding outdoor use. With materials comes processes and joining methods. I researched blow moulding, thermoforming, injection moulding and rigid adhesives for the tasks, and all of them that was served a part in the production of this product. The rigid adhesives, for example, would be used to join the aluminium probe to the ABS base. Bringing all this together to produce my final idea was the next step. The shape was immediately refined, getting rid of the middle bulk that wasn't needed, and creating a rugged shape that was easily attachable and removable with a lid and power supply. Using the top container from the second model, I made the lid and heat supply, adding aspects such as Velcro and a smaller heating probe. A new aspect of this product was a harness that doubled up as an additional back support for both user and product. I used a North Face bag strap to simulate the strap that I would intend to use in my final product. I then tested how the product fitted in the pack, which seemed to be a success, securing itself in some mesh towards the bottom of the back plate. After much testing, I produced a fully accurate CAD model of the product, and this allowed me to solve problems with detail and some essential features that I couldn't do with the model, such as insulated walls, a working button for the underside, and in general, surfaces accurate to my specification. Once this was done, choosing colour via rendering the CAD model was next. Having tested the traditional Land Rover green, I decided to change the image and go with black, white and a grey scheme. With a completed model that has a strong brand DNA with Land Rover, I produced various presentation boards showing internals, exploded views and key functions. This product is an outdoor cooking device designed to be used in remote areas, giving the most elite athletes the edge they need to push the limits of their sport.